Hi, my name is Amy Derringer, and I'm a staff member in student engagement at South Campus. And I grew up in the 90s, and I want to share what that was like for me. It was definitely a time before internet and computers and social media, at least before it was accessible and available kind of like every day and everywhere. And so I remember definitely listening to a lot of music. Back then, it was like both tapes and CDs that we would listen to. Definitely some Backstreet Boys, some Spice Girls. That was just normal. It wasn't funny. It was like, that's what I listened to. I remember going to a lot of concerts. I think maybe because of where I grew up in South Florida, we went to a lot of country concerts. I don't really I don't really think I loved country, but there were definitely a lot of concerts that I went to. I also remember after school having a lot of time outside and playing sports with my friends, like soccer, playing basketball in the street in front of where we lived, doing things like climbing a lot of trees and stuff. There were a lot of woods around where my house was. And then on like family vacations or in some of our spare time, we would go camping and do a lot of stuff that was definitely outside. I didn't really watch that many movies, but I remember when I did watch movies, we would rent them from Blockbuster, which was basically like a red box, but in a storefront with staff members that scan your little card. You take a VHS and you walk out with it, and then you come back with it, kind of just like you're checking it out from a red box machine, but there's physically people there, and there's a store where there's all the movies in front of you everywhere. And so that was before we could do things like have Netflix and Hulu and Redbox, obviously. So that was definitely a very interesting time that I remember of growing up, and that was just kind of normal. I do remember like some of the foods and like drinks that we used to have. Like I had a lot of Capri Sun when I was growing up. I remember that specifically with like soccer practice. Capri Sun was a big thing, and I'm not sure if that's actually like still really around right now. But I remember my favorite cereal was Frosted Flakes. I'm pretty sure I've still seen that on the shelves, but I was never really allowed to have it, but maybe that's part of why it became my favorite. But yeah, I mean, growing up in the 90s, there was a lot of stuff going on that was, I'd say, like more face-to-face interactive with people, because today I think we're interacting not necessarily just face-to-face, but in other ways that I really think are enhanced ways. And so even though I would do things like once a week go fishing with my grandma, that was definitely face-to-face, but today I'm Facebook friends with my grandpa. And so that couldn't have happened a long time ago, and he didn't get to do things, or we didn't get to talk about things like pictures with my friends doing certain things that he now sees on Facebook, because they just didn't come up before when we were in person. So yeah, I mean, I grew up in the 90s, and that's a little bit about my life.